Welcome to the Sunday Preach, No Shoes Required, where we honor everything holy, sacred, and spiritual. Come as you are, so let's kick off your shoes and step into the no guilt zone. If you listen to my podcast, Enlightenment Unknown, Life of a Spiritual Nomad, this is a segment of this. It's the first video podcast that I've done. And I can promise you, when they say it's plug and play, it is not plug and play. But I want to say thanks for listening. Thanks for watching. So this is the first one we've done with the video. The lights has been a process and the technology. So hopefully it works well. This segment of the show I've wanted to do it for a while, but honestly, I've been a little nervous. And I wanted to talk about God. I wanted to connect with Spirit. I wanted to honor our gifts. At least my experience when I go to the church down the street, and I've been to many of them, if we talk about doing healing work, it's not looked upon favorably a lot of times. And, it doesn't make sense to me. If we were created by God in the image of God, and I can lay my hands on somebody and heal them, and somebody else can do it, but their version is okay and mine is not, doesn't make sense to me. So I've noticed a lot of my spiritual friends have felt the same way. So what we're going to do on this show is the Sunday Preach, No Shoes Required, stepping into the no guilt zone is just that. We're going to talk about God. We're going to talk about our gifts. We're going to basically create a safe place for us to talk about what we want to talk about. And for me, I wanted more of God. I wanted to talk about Jesus. I feel more comfortable saying Yeshua. For some reason, it just resonates with me. So talking to Yeshua is in my house, we will serve the Lord. And that's what we're going to do here. So it doesn't matter what your religious background is. It doesn't matter who you date, what color your skin is, what you identify as. You know what? If you want to connect and you want to hear about God, this is where we're going to do it. So I never thought these words would come out of my mouth, but my name is Pastor Wes Coons, and I don't know if I'm qualified for this because I haven't gone to church my whole life. I don't have a degree. I honestly, I don't like to go to church. It's uncomfortable for me. But I can tell you this. If you understand pain and you understand isolation, and if you understand what it feels like to be the black sheep of the family and be told that you're wrong no matter what you do, even when you're trying to do your best, this is where you need to come, because I understand that at a deep level. I have learned over the last almost 6 years now, I've had this spiritual awakening. And if you listen to the podcast, you understand the first 2 seasons is me going through this incredibly haunted house and having the priest come to the house and being picked up and thrown across the room. See, I never believed in God. I always thought that there was a higher power, right? I'm a former Marine, and we don't really talk about God too much in the Marine Corps, at least not favorably. I think our biggest thing we would say is God loved us because we helped keep heaven full. That was a different lifetime. That was a different mindset. I was a young man and didn't know any better. But, I don't look at my past as guilt and shame. I don't do guilt and shame anymore. And we're not going to do guilt and shame on this show because life happens for us, not to us. So everything I went through in that journey as being a United States Marine, going into real estate, being married, going through divorce, those things have all helped shape me to be the person I am today. And I think I'm a good person. See, my spiritual awakening, Joshua couldn't do it gentle for me, right? I mean, he hit me with a 6x6 piece of wood for about 9 to 10 months. And honestly, I think it was kind of like Job, where the devil was allowed to take away his family. He was allowed to take away all these things from him. but he wasn't allowed to touch him. And if you are familiar with my journey, that's kind of what happened to me. And I didn't understand it at the time, but see, I understood pain at a deep level and sadness. But when I went through that journey, I was seeing demons. I was seeing all these horrible things. And in my mind, I'm like, well, if that's real, then is God real? So I had to go through that pain to come to the realization that Yeshua is real, that Jesus is real, that God is real. And I've heard people say all my life, oh, I feel him with me all the time. And I remember thinking about that for 40, 50 years, saying, how is that possible? That's just ridiculous. I don't feel anything. When I was a little boy, my dad was putting me on this Greyhound bus in Norfolk, Virginia. It's downtown. As a parent now, thinking about putting my 10-year-old child on a Greyhound bus and saying, hey, you get off on the second stop. Good luck. Love you. Your sister's going to be there to pick you up. It was a different time. I can't fathom that. But that's where I was. And this gentleman came up, and I'll never forget this. He was in a beautiful blue suit, and he had a Bible, and he had this top hat on. And he came up and tapped my dad on the shoulder. And he looked at me, he says, son, you're going to be a preacher one day. And I never forgot that. I remember thinking, we don't even go to church. And we didn't. I did not grow up in church. I did not know Jesus was a Jew until 5 years ago. I had no knowledge of religion, spirituality, any of that at any level. So as I'm doing this show, the enemy talks in the back of my head saying, hey, Wes, you don't have what it takes to do this. Because, a lot of times when we talk about God, a lot of times when we talk about religion, people can be mean. And a friend of mine told me a few weeks ago, she said, hey, you look at healing work on the religious side. And I appreciate her saying that because it helped me heal something. And I look at religion as a bad word. I say this is a spiritual program, not a religious program. Because my experiences with religion, there's been guilt and shame, and you have to be inside this box called a church to go to the church to pray to God. And the reality is God is inside of us. If he created us, then if he's our father, then we have the DNA of our father in our body. We're little G's. I guess what I'm trying to say is, I hope I serve you well doing this show. Because for me, it's forcing me to open this thing called the Bible up and read it and do research. But I don't have to go to the Bible to connect with God. As I did my prayers before this episode started, I could clearly hear Jesus speaking to me. I can clearly hear Archangel Michael speaking to me. And Jesus telling me, I'm proud of you. I didn't hear it in my ears. I heard it in my mind. I felt it in my heart. And that's real. 5 years ago, I had moved into this house at the ocean front, and I had decided to throw my Bible open. Not that anybody came over, but in my mind, I'm going to trick myself that I'm actually reading this thing. And about 3 weeks goes by, and I go home for lunch, and I remember I was just crying. I'm like, are you real? Is this real? I had just gone through this incredible experience. I'd just gone through this spiritual awakening. I was learning to place my hands on people and heal people at a very high level. And I was so confused. I was so broken. I was so lost. Nothing seemed real anymore. And I said, if you're real, would you give me a sign? For some reason, I looked down at the Bible and I wrote it down here. Because if you expect me to memorize stuff and rattle it off, the honest answer is I'm probably not going to do that. So I wrote this down. Matthew 16:4, a wicked and adulterous generation looks for a sign, but none will be given except for the sign of Jonah. And I remember reading that, and Yeshua is funny. He's pretty funny. And so here's this joke that he's playing on me of, I'm not going to give you a sign by giving you a sign, because what are the odds? I literally tossed the Bible there open. I just opened it and threw it down. I didn't look at it. So what are the odds that this God moment is going to show up for me 3 weeks later when I'm asking this question of, are you real? And give me a sign. And there was my sign. So the question I have for you is, how often are you receiving your God moment? For me, I'll turn on certain speakers on the radio, and the answer to the question that I'm posing to myself is right there. The answer is given the moment I turn that on. I mean, how can that be? And it happens all the time. How could I have opened the Bible to that one page 3 weeks before if it wasn't real? My mom died the day after Christmas. So this is a couple of days after Christmas right now. My mom died 16 years ago, the day after Christmas. And she loved these finches, right? These little birds. And after that haunted house, after that stuff was over, this little finch came into the garage and stood at my feet, and I petted it. And I picked it up and petted this little bird. I held it right in front of my face, and I've got a picture of it in my phone. And the bird was there for about 45 seconds, and all of a sudden it shook its head and flew away. When does a wild animal do that? That was my mom coming to see me, right? That was my mom coming to see me, that God moment. And when I was in a meditation a few years ago, I clearly heard God speak to me. He said, you will bring people to my army. You will build my army. And he's not talking about violence. He's talking about love. And we're not going down to this brick building down the street. What we're talking about is connecting with the gifts that God gave you, the spiritual gifts, the being able to put your hands on somebody and heal them. All my beautiful friends that are healing people, that are psychics, that have these different gifts that God gave them, that's not devil's work. That's God's work. These are people that honor and love God. And this is a safe place for us to come and talk about that. It's taken me a minute to get to do this video. I ended up having to buy a new computer. I'm stuck in my head. And I keep hearing these words of encouragement off of videos I'm watching, TV I'm watching, turning on Joel Osteen. I love Joel Osteen. I guess I can say his name on here. I don't know those rules, but I love Joel Osteen. He's always positive. And I'll turn it on and I'll hear my message instantly with him. And I'll hear that message instantly with him. And I so appreciate that. You know, if Jesus had shown up, God has shown up in the burning bush and said, hey, Wes, I'm the burning bush, and you're supposed to do this healing work, and you're going to be a pastor, and you're going to do all this stuff, I would have been like, dude, you can kick rocks. That is not me. I'm probably the worst ordained minister on the planet, but at least I'm real. I do healing work at a very high level. I love it. I'm a Reiki master. I am a quantum healing expert located here at beautiful Virginia Beach. This is my world headquarters. And this part of Enlightenment Unknown Life of a Spiritual Nomad, the Sunday Preach, is something we're going to do twice a month. And one of the things that I've noticed is when I tell people I love you, they don't say it back. So I want to clarify something. I love you doesn't mean I desire you. The light in me sees the light in you. Namaste, right? Namaste. So you're going to hear those words on this show. I love you. I might not know who you are, but the light in me recognizes the light in you. And just sometimes we haven't heard that in a long time. I'm going to say a prayer for you. Lord, help my friends feel the love that you carry. Give them the sign that they may need, even if you don't give a sign. Help them move towards the golden doors that are in front of them with ease and grace so they can become the person that they're aching to become. Help them see the light at the end of the tunnel. I love you and I accept you in my life. Amen. See, we are one vibrational shift away from being whatever it is we want to be. One vibrational shift, just like that. One change of what's up here changes everything. I have experienced that at such a deep level in this last 12 months. Now, I would argue this a year ago that maybe that it wasn't that powerful, that our word wasn't that powerful, but our word is that powerful. I was trying to do something in business that on paper in this 3D world I should not have been able to do, but I was angry at my father. He didn't know I was angry, but I was angry. And finally, I pulled over on the side of the street and I told God, I said, hey, if I'm supposed to lose everything, take it. I'm good. I'm going to be okay. Because I needed this transaction to grow my business, right? And without it, I'd be out of business. And then I sent my dad a text. I said, I want to tell you everything I think about you. And I thanked him for the tireless hours of work he did, the sacrifices, all the things he did. He didn't speak to me the way I wanted to be spoken to, right? I wanted to hear these words, and he gave me these words. But I sent that text, and I didn't hear back from him. The next day, I didn't hear from him. And the next evening, he called. He said, son, that was the most beautiful message I've ever received. And I didn't want to send a text. I needed to call you. And in my mind, I'm like, hey, you could have said, I'll call you tomorrow. But he didn't. That was me placing expectations on his response. And the funniest thing is he spoke to me the way I have wanted him to talk to me my whole life. And isn't it ironic that it took me to forgive him? I guess I forgave him. I don't know, but it sounds silly forgiving him for supporting me, but I forgave myself. I forgave the lies that I told myself that he didn't love us, that he didn't respect us, that he didn't all these things. In the reality, he was doing the best he could with the tools that he had. And when I acknowledged that, our relationship grew into this beautiful thing. So I want to leave you today with that thought. What are you holding on to that is not serving you? Let it go. Forgive them and forgive yourself. Well, Wes, if I forgive them, I'm not calling that person. You don't have to call that person. I didn't go and seek out the person that hurt me as a child, right? But I forgave them a long time ago. Forgiveness is for you. It's not for them. Set yourself free. Well, Wes, I don't know how to forgive them. Just say it. Just say it out loud. Say, Lord, please hear my prayer. I forgive this person, and I forgive me. You only need to say it one time. You don't have to ask forgiveness every day for something. It's silly. Let's say you borrowed my car and you wrecked it. Hey, Wes, I'm sorry. Would you forgive me? Yeah, man, no problem. The next day, hey, will you forgive me? Yeah, we talked about it yesterday. The third day, the fourth day, the fifth day. Hey, brother, I hear you. Can we move on? See, that's what it's like when we keep asking Jesus to forgive us every single day. The question I ask is, have you opened your heart to receive the forgiveness that you've asked for? Jesus, please forgive me for what I did. And I forgive myself. And my heart is open to receive that forgiveness. See, when you order something off of Amazon, you don't sit there and question it all day long if it's going to be here. You know it's in the system, it's coming. Your prayer has been sent, it has been heard. The forgiveness is there. Now let's start looking forward to the beautiful things that you want. My name is Pastor Wes Coons, and we will see you on the next episode of the Sunday Preach No Shoes Required. You've been listening to the Sunday Preach No Shoes Required.